Hey y'all, got a video here to talk about a recap of Galactics and what I think is going to do well in PQs. Let's dig in. What's up, guys? Galactics was amazing. I got COVID after Galactics. I went on a family vacation after Galactics, but I had an absolute blast. And today I am here to talk about my biggest mistake from Galactics and what I wish I would have done differently. So I went 5-3, and I got the max prizing for day 2, which I believe was like 4 additional black packs. So I opened 6 black packs, and I also ended up obtaining all 3 of my Millennium Falcons. So I get, you know me, I love my Millennium Falcon and my Han Pilot. Those were my chase cards for Galactics. Didn't make top 64, so I didn't get a lightsaber pack. Bummer, but it's okay. I'm happy with my performance, and really what I'm here to talk about is kind of why I think I didn't do as well as I wanted to. And I think the main reason why I didn't do as well as I wanted to was specifically because of how the winning decks were very, very greedy. And what I mean by that is the decks that won Galactics were playing a main deck package that if your opponent didn't have the answer, you would essentially win the game. So on my screen here, I have an example of the Talzin list that took Galactics. Benton did a great job, piloted the deck very, very well. But I think overall, what the biggest takeaway for me here is that Benton's list is a list that played a lot of, and Philippe's list played a very greedy line. And the greedy line that people have uncovered is playing Fallen Lightsabers, Hotshot Blaster off aspect, and playing Armed to the Teeth. You know, having smuggle in the deck as well allowed Talzin to essentially flip Talzin and almost play a green Sabine play line. And what I mean by that is, as we all know, or if you don't know yet, back in set 2, 3 cards got printed: Poe, Wrecker, and Darksaber, and that made Sabine ECL one of the most powerful decks in the entire game. And Darksaber on Sabine leader was just one of the best plays in the game. It often would just swing for 7 damage. It would make Sabine have 8 HP. It was just a way to Voltron your leader. And what this Talzin deck does is it takes a note or tip from Green Sabine, and it allows you to Voltron and essentially win with 1 large unit or maybe 2 buffed units. You don't always win that way, but it's one way to sort of take your opponent by surprise after you force throw them, after you ping off their units, after you force lightning their units, and then, you know, they're about to stabilize, and as they're trying to stabilize, you start to just crash in with a bunch of damage. And that's not the only thing that did well at Galactics. My former teammate, Ian, I'm no longer on the Bothan team, just decided to kind of start my own thing here, but Ian did really well with Kylo Tarkentown, which was a secret deck at the time within the Bothan network. And I don't have the list actually pulled up here, but this is off of Hot Decks. And again, what is this deck trying to do? It's trying to control the board and then play a really greedy line by taking the unknown meta by advantage, or, you know, taking advantage of the unknown meta and just deploying a Kylo leader with snapshot reflexes, swinging for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 damage. I mean, I've seen some insane swings with this Kylo deck. Uses Tarkentown to control the board. It has Infiltrator skills for Sentinels, Constructed Lightsaber for more damage and HP, Heroic Resolve for Overwhelm, and just the ability to essentially one-shot your opponent and get Admiral Mahdi to untap the Kylo to get him to attack twice in 1 turn after they claim and just win the game out of nowhere. So this deck was very, very greedy. There was another deck that also was very greedy, and I actually don't think it's a great deck right now to play, but because it was an unknown meta, people were not ready for Han 4, and Matthew Norton, or Magog, got top 8. He lost to Ian, my former teammate, in the top 8, and his deck is very similar, right? It plays a bunch of 1-drops, and then it just tries to control the board of Tarkentown and capture stuff with Sanctioner Shuttle, and then it deploys the Han Pilot, untaps all of its resources. You know, you slam Plo Koon, play the Han Pilot, get to play something else, and you just keep playing stuff. Smuggle out a Cassian, right? And this deck just does what it does. Now, people are ready for this deck. They know how to play against it better now. And I think I would not recommend taking this deck to a PQ, candidly. If you're very, very skilled at the deck, go ahead, go with you're comfortable with. Magog did an insane job. I watched some videos, and I just think he was brilliant with this deck composition. But I think this deck lost a lot of its teeth with the fact that it was an unknown meta. He crawled all the way through day 1, day 2, into day 3, and got into top 8. An amazing feat. Huge congratulations. But I think, this deck was playing a very greedy play line. And I have played against this deck quite a bit now, and I have not dropped a game against it once you realize that if you shut off their units going into their flip turn, they're just not going to have much to do. Flipping a 3/7 Rebel Han Solo leader under the ground is, it's essentially the same thing as flipping a Sabine leader, right? You're hitting for 3 to base, and it's just not doing a lot. And I think a lot of decks can just completely shut this deck down. So the list that I played at Galactics looked a little different, but my biggest lesson was I wasn't playing the Darksaber, and I really wish I would have just played the Darksaber. I actually didn't have it anywhere in my 60. Instead, I was playing Qui-Gon's lightsaber. The reason why I wish I had the Darksaber is that there were a lot of games against Vader Yellow that I lost for my winning in, where if I would have just suited up Sabine with the Darksaber and swung out for 7, had a 6/8 Sabine on 4 resources, Vader Yellow has a really hard time dealing with that. They need to have no good to me dead. And I really wish I would have had that. I also wish I would have had jam communications to rip opponents' force throws and rival fall. And I think that is my biggest lesson as I took out hand disruption and I took out the Darksaber. What is the Darksaber? It's a greedy play. When you slam the Darksaber, you immediately make your opponent have the right card or you to win the game. And I think that was my biggest lesson, is that into an unknown meta, play the cheesiest deck that you can make. That's consistent, has powerful play lines, is hard to counter. Or not necessarily hard to counter, but if it's an unknown meta and it's a very cheesy instant win play, you should play it. Your opponent's going to have a hard time dealing with it because you're going to kind of force them to have a very short amount of time to answer something, which means they're going to be drawing less cards before the game would inevitably end, which means they have less shots at pulling another answer if they don't have one. So that was my biggest learning opportunity, was to play Darksaber. I don't really think Sabine is good right now. I'm not going to lie. Sabine Tarkentown, Sabine Yellow, Sabine ECL. I am the biggest Sabine apologist probably on YouTube, and I just don't think Sabine's good right now. I think Hantu Blue eats it up. Talzin eats it up. Sabine does better into Talzin than I'm kind of surprised, actually, but Hantu Blue just destroys Sabine. I mean, they have Yaddle, Yoda, Force Throw, Force Lightning sometimes. They have Churret to block the Sabine deploy. They just have too many tools. They have Grogu to kind of do some nasty shenanigans. They have the Itinerant Warrior to heal 3. I think that Sabine Yellow and Sabine Green and Sabine Red just not really good right now. Now, the next set, I think there's going to be a lot of Rebels in that set, and I think we're going to see a lot of really great things. I am actually looking to switch to a different leader right now, and I'll be playing a different leader at 1Ks and PQs in the very near future. With that being said, I got a couple great announcements to share with you all. One is I did start my own Star Wars Unlimited team with a couple of other individuals, which we'll be talking about and announcing that in the near future. And then 2, the team and the channel is now sponsored by Heavy Play. Cue the trailer. I'm super excited to be partnering with Heavy Play. They actually offered a 10% discount for anyone that purchases through my affiliate code. So it'll be Rebel10 in the checkout. Will give you 10% off any purchase on Heavy Play's website. I've been a huge fan of Heavy Play, and I've had a lot of players actually come up to me at tournaments and ask me what my playmat is. If I were to recommend a product to start with, it would be the ETB playmat. What's unique about Heavy Play is all of their products are magnetic. And what I mean by that is, so here are a deck box and a dice box. So here's the dice box itself is actually magnetic. So you can see the entire thing pops out if you wanted to, or you could open it up like a little tray because it has a multi-magnet system. And then on your table, you can take the whole tray out, set it on top of the dice box chassis, and now you take up less table space. And when you put it back, you don't have to worry about your dice coming out because you really need to push that magnet out. The same goes for any of their deck boxes. So this is their, they have 2 deck boxes. I really like this one because it's a hard shell and you can't really, I mean, you could just like chuck this thing across the room and your cards would be safe. And I like how the minimal white aesthetic, but you can see these 4 white magnets here, and it actually goes with your deck box. So when you're at a table, you can actually slap your stuff on top here, and your sideboard or whatever is in here, hidden from your opponents. You have your deck box, and it's taking up very little amount of space. It almost feels like this is the TCG version of Apple MagSafe for iPhone. The products honestly look like Apple products. I mean, they're all super clean, really high quality, and I am sponsored by them, but I wouldn't pick a sponsor I didn't believe in, honestly. And what's cool about their playmat is it's also magnetic and very thin. And so when you open it here, it's just really, really minimal. And also, handy dandy, look, check this out. It's actually magnetic. So when you're at a table waiting for your match to start, you can kind of walk around with your little, kind of carry this around. You don't have to put away in your backpack if you don't want to. And if you do put your things away in a backpack, it's very easy to do so. And then on top of that, this fits into like a laptop compartment in any sort of backpack. And I prefer this over stuffing a playmat in there, candidly. And this has become something I'm very much obsessed with. And when I take it out, people often ask me if it's a GameGenic product because it has this sort of dragon skin, not dragon skin, but like silicone feel. So people often think it's a GameGenic product or it looks like the GameGenic deck pod. It kind of all matches. If you get this in the deck pod, and it would all kind of have the same aesthetic. And so right now, this is what I'm rocking for my playmat at every single event moving forward. So definitely check out their products. I believe in them. They are on the pricier end, but they are premium products. And that is why I have the 10% discount code. Right, Rhea? Yeah. My daughter says yes. The other thing I wanted to talk through is I worked with a great artist by the name of Alex to make some custom designs. These custom designs are actually available as of tonight on my shop. I worked with them to kind of make something that felt like it belonged in the Star Wars universe, but was a unique design. So the first one is the I Have Friends Everywhere t-shirt. It kind of takes some vibe from, the star maps from Star Wars, and it has the Rebel Resource logo in there, and just looks really clean. And honestly, I wanted to make this, I wanted to make something that you would feel comfortable wearing, even not going to a Star Wars event, a night out with your friends, even to your local game store or even at home. And I wanted to make something that looked really cool and wouldn't look like it would be for a card game or for a content creator, but just something you'd be proud to wear. And so the products that this is printed on, 100% cotton, pre-shrunk materials, really great fits for all types of sizes. And this is a local design made by a local, not a local artist to me, but a US-based artist in North Carolina. Just did a great job producing this for me. The second thing I did create was a new design for playmats. So if the heavy play playmat is not for you, I am going to offer, or I did actually create a custom playmat design. So this was meant to mimic this sort of spaceship HUDs that were on the Millennium Falcon. This would be like something you would see on a dashboard of the Millennium Falcon. That was kind of the aesthetic here. Really clean and simple. I'm actually going to get one of these for myself, and I'm going to start repping this at some events just to kind of share, and I'm probably going to give one away at my next event that I go to. So definitely check that out. I try to price everything really well for everyone. And I have some really cool Patreon rewards coming. I'm actually designing a custom hand marker token that's going to look and be inspired by the High Republic. It is not a Star Wars themed coin, but a medallion rather, but it's going to be look like the High Republic and kind of have that aesthetic and vibe. So, and especially as we head into future Star Wars sets, I'm sure it'll kind of match that aesthetic. So that is for Patreon members. This will be available to anyone who's been in the Patreon for at least 3 months. I'm really excited to provide these to y'all. And I'm going to be working on getting those created. So really great stuff on the horizon. Expect some updates from me in the future. So thanks so much. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and talk to you all soon.